Hey, what a damn game, man. Florida Gators versus Houston, University of Houston, 65-63. Thriller, crazy game, tight to the end. I thought Florida wasn't going to escape. Walter Clayton Jr., the man of the hour, didn't have the best game, and he started off so cold. Didn't hit a field goal in the first half at all. Okay? Like, he was forcing it in the beginning, if you ask me. Shooting some threes that probably just was not smart to shoot. But I understand that that's part of his game, too. That's kind of some of the things he does to kind of get himself going. He does shoot hard shots, difficult shots, and today was no different. But you got to kind of tighten up a little bit in a national championship game. And you got to realize, okay, they're playing me pretty tough. They're playing me close. Sharp, Emmanuel Sharp did a pretty good job on him all night. And vice versa, Clayton did a good job on Emmanuel Sharp. He only had 8 points. Clayton ended up with 11. He had a clutch three at the right time in the second half. And then 2 layups. He got into the lane and finally got free for some layups and got fouled on both of them. So those were some of the key moments that brought them back. They got down by 12 in the second half. It was looking kind of bleak, to be honest. But another thing, the Gators did not take care of the ball. Florida did not take care of the ball. They had 13 turnovers, and Houston only had 9 in the game, okay? So that in itself is horrible, okay? Just careless with the ball. Clayton had a few just ill mishaps with the ball, passing, trying to pass across court, things like that. And it just didn't really work out. But the man for Florida was Will Richard. Will Richard had 18 points and 8 rebounds. He was the one that kept them really in the game in the first half. He was hitting his three. He was doing his thing. And even in the clutch moments, he hit a few, key shots as well. My man Condon dropped 12 points and 7 rebounds. And another person I want to talk about on Florida is Chinleyu, all right? Chinleyu, in the second half, I think he was guarding Jawan Roberts. Yeah, he was guarding Jawan Roberts on a play. Went up to try to block the shot, and he did get a little bit of his hand. He thought he got all ball and got mad and just, slammed the ball on the ground, and it went up in the air. And, of course, that's going to be a tech. Now, the commentators were saying that basically, if he would have caught the ball, he probably would have not gotten the tech. But you can't make boneheaded decisions like that. Even on Saturday when he played against Auburn, that was against Auburn, right? Whatever. He had a crazy elbow in somebody's head, in a key moment of the game as well. He's a wild card, but he's a great defender, great rebounder, big body, you know what I'm saying? So kind of is what it is. That's his energy. You can tell that's his energy. And everybody was like, come on, bro. You can't make them type of mistakes. And love the passion, bro. Love the passion. But sometimes you got to reel it in. You got to think. Kind of like how Draymond Green, stuff that he does. Or Isaiah Stewart, the idiot that he is. You got to reel it in sometime. All right? But let's talk about Houston. Man, Houston is tough. Shouts out to them. Houston is super tough. LJ Cryer was on fire somewhat. I mean, he had 19 points and 4-11 from 3. But nobody else was in double figures. Nobody else was in double figures. And, Emmanuel Sharp had, like I said, he had 8 points. He was 3-11 from the field. And nothing really to say about them offensively. The defense is what kept them in the game and what kept them on runs, Jawan Roberts was a force. He was getting, in the paint pretty good. Point paints between them was kind of almost even, 28 points in the paint for Florida, 24 points in the paint for Houston. So it wasn't too lopsided. But the free throws is where we can see, where the game was lost at, all right? Florida was 17-21 from free throws. So they took 21 free throws, 81%, all right? Houston was 9-14, all right? So 64%. It's not going to cut it. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, man. I thought Willie Clayton was going to have one of them epic performances. I thought he was going to possibly give us another 30-piece tonight. I was just hoping. I was hoping for it. And I want to start off by saying, I didn't come into the game as a Florida fan. I go for Duke every year, no matter what, okay? No matter what team they got, I go for Duke. But I'm late on the. Once Duke lost, I realized who I was going to have to root for, and that was going to be Florida. So I'm not really a bandwagon fan, but I'm a fan of Walter Clayton Jr. So I rode for his team. Really wouldn't have mattered too much if Houston won or not. But the game was a good game. Glad I watched it. Even had my little daughters up there, both of my daughters watching with me, and they were screaming. So they go for whatever team I go for. You know, it is what it is, right? But yeah, let's talk about Walter Clayton Jr. like more in depth. Like I'm gonna tell y'all what he reminds me of. He has the scary shooting capabilities of Steph Curry. You know, a little Trae Young-esque and a little Dame Lillard-esque, right? The distance, you know, deep threat, like super deep threat. Like, but the handle is Kyrie Irving-esque, right? Now, I'm not saying he's as good of a ball handler as Kyrie, but that's what he reminds me of. He's real crafty with the ball, okay? Very good split decision maker. And one thing he does well is finish good at the rim. You know, he got a nice touch. You can see him putting English on the ball. You know what I'm saying? Especially one of them layups in the game on Saturday. And then the two, you know, layups he got with body control in the paint, tonight, you know, when he got fouled on both of them and still was able to keep his composure, body control, and score. So he's 195 pounds, 6'2", some say 6'3", but he looked more like 6'2". He about my height. And but he got a 42-inch vertical. He will put you in the rim, you know. For this season, he averaged 18.5 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 45% from the field, but 39.2% from three, okay? And he was an 87% free throw shooter in the regular season. Now, in the postseason, in the tournament, he was like 91 or 92%. I think he had the second highest free throw percentage in the history of the game, of college, you know? So I forgot who he was behind, but he's been doing his thing in the tournament, you know? I really wanted him to have a big game tonight so that his draft stock can rise. I don't know what they got him on, where they got him at on the board, but I do think he can be a lottery pick for sure. You know, they may hold his age against him. I don't know. He might go a late first round. It's possible, but I think he can go lottery. I think he's gonna be special in the NBA for real. Let's just recap some of the things he's done recently, especially since the tournament. He dropped 22 in the SEC tournament final versus Tennessee for an 86-77 win. And then versus Texas Tech in the Elite Eight, he dropped 30. All right. He dropped 30 points. And then the next game after that, the other day versus Auburn, right? 34 points. Okay. And that was his career high. And he hit 5 3-pointers that night too. And the boy was torturing, hitting difficult shots like step backs, you know, punch, dribble. It was just crazy. It was crazy to watch. And like I said, his craftiness, his handle, you know, and he got good court vision. You know, I know maybe the assist don't show that he's a point guard, but he really is. I do believe that in the NBA, with a free-flowing game and more space, like college is crazy. Like the way the defense is in college, it's really harder to really just get off in college like you can in the NBA, the way they play defense, the zones and stuff like that. So I do believe that we're going to see a player that's he's the sleeper. He might be a sleeper pick as far as if he doesn't make it in the lottery, he's going to be a sleeper. And if he gets on the right team, bro, it's somebody got one. I'm telling you. I feel like he could be one of them ones. I feel like he could be one of them real guys, like one of them, you know what I'm saying? Like Steph-esque. Like he got a Curry kind of torch. It's looking like a Curry kind of torch. The brother, and the difference between him and Curry to me is that he's more prone to shoot with defense on him, you know? Steph Curry is more of an off-screen kind of, I mean, of course, Steph can shoot off the dribble. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying, like, it's a difference, you know? Like, Lillard is more of a, like, get the ball and, you know, create and then shoot over you And this is kind of how Clayton is with a little bit of Steph Curry. But I do believe that in the league, depending on what team he gets on, if he gets with like a Spurs or anybody like that, they're going to probably have him, running off the ball a little bit too. But he's a good ball handler. He got great court vision. He can really see. He's going to find the open man. He's going to make the right play a lot of times. Very dynamic point guard. Very dynamic. And he never looks scared. Never. Now, it was some moments in the game that I'd say that I was a little like, why are you not going for the ball, especially towards the end? And it felt like he's just not really aggressive enough. But he also looked like he might have just been trusting his team. And maybe he just said, let me let them cook, and I'll get in where I fit in. Yeah. So, and shout out to Condon and everybody else on Florida. It just was a great night. Pay attention to Walter Clayton Jr., though, straight up. Like, really check him out and, pay attention to how his game is. I really feel like he can be one of them guys. And, man, special talent. But he'll be 22 this year, I believe, if he's not 22 already. He was a JUCO player first. I believe he wasn't even ranked, untraditional path, right? Wasn't really checked for. But he's on that big stage and he won. That's going to raise him up in that draft. I guarantee you it's going to raise him up for sure. So I want to know what y'all think about this game, what y'all felt, who was y'all going for. Was you going for Houston, or what team was you going for before this day? Did Duke disappoint you like they disappointed me? Duke blew me because they had it. You know what I'm saying? Up by 9. It was no reason for them to lose that game. And I was listening to, I forgot who I was listening to. I don't know if it was Gilbert Arenas or it was somebody. And they were saying basically like Knupples should have probably got the ball a few times. They kept going to Cooper Flags so much. Knupples probably could have, helped in some of them clutch moments because Knupples was getting busy too. And I think Knupples was going to end up in the league as well. But yeah, man, it's your boy Carl Anthony for Due Season Hoops. And yeah, man, epic game. NCAA, don't get no better than that. Final Four is over. National champions, Florida Gators. It is what it is. Shout out to them boys. Salute. And watch out for Walter Clayton Jr. It's your boy Carl Anthony. Peace.
You need to understand millionaire math. And I promise you, if somebody would have told me this while I was a senior in high school, I would have been a millionaire before my first year in college. Number one is you have to disconnect your revenue generation from time, because that is exactly how they get us. They try to anchor your revenue generation with time, and they do that in the form of dollars per hour. The reason we need to do this is because your time is forever limited, and we want to be able to make unlimited wealth. And honestly, if you don't have that mindset, I don't have the time in this video to convince you. So you're gonna need a product. It needs to be something that you can build once and sell unlimited times. And yes, you're gonna have to put time into building something the first time, but you're not gonna have to build it every time somebody buys it. We're gonna reverse engineer this from $1 million because this is literally 10 years of income for the average American. All you would need to do is get 50,000 customers for something that costs $20. For the sake of this video, we're gonna say that the product is an ebook, so it hits the target of build once, sell unlimited times. And the first question that hits everybody's mind is, I don't know how to get 50,000 customers. And I like this quote that says, if you ask disempowering questions, you cannot find empowering answers. So instead of saying, I don't know how to get 50,000 customers, you need to start asking how you're going to get 50,000 customers. And here's where some serious millionaire math comes into play. If 50,000 sounds like too big of a number, all you have to do is this. Add 1 0 to the 20, and that takes away a 0 from the 50,000, making it 5,000. So now you only need 5,000 customers to make $1 million. And if you build a really good product right off the bat, people are going to be more willing to pay you more money per person. For example, instead of selling an ebook for $20, you could take the information in your ebook and turn it into a coaching community where you actually coach people live on how to do what you're explaining in your book. People are going to be way more interested in paying you $200 than $20 for just a simple book. Obviously, that's if you can provide real results to them. And since thousands of people have already proven that this formula works, the next step is to add another zero, making your product price $2,000. But guess what? That knocks off another zero of the 50,000. Now we're down to 500 customers, and you're still making $1 million. So you've proven that your product has worked because people loved your book, and then you started coaching them live and proven that it's worth $200. And now for this $2,000, you can actually start mentoring people on the information that was in that original book. So your product hardly changed. All you did was changed your price and the level of guidance that you're providing. This is an extremely simple breakdown, but millionaires do their math in this way. They are thinking, what is the fastest way that I can make this $1 million? And if you're wondering what business you should actually go and start, I have a ton of videos on my page explaining that.